Hi, I'm Zhanghua Chen. I'm an assistant professor at the University of Southern California Environmental Health Division. This is my 5th year of faculty here at USC. And before I joined USC, I had my medical degree from Fudan University, Shanghai, China. And then I came to US 2006 and for my PhD education in biostatistics at USC. So during my PhD research, I mainly did the research in the genetic and the lifestyle behavior in relationship with diabetes risk in general population, including the more susceptible population like Hispanic population. And then after I finished my PhD education here, I joined the lab at Environmental Health Division at USC, where I start to learn more about the environmental impacts on the human health. Because I start to work with Dr. Frank Gilliland, my postdoc mentor, in a research project investigating the fine particle exposure in the ambient air, how it's related with diabetes risk in high-risk population, which give me very interesting ideas to look into this air pollution exposure. And we found that higher exposure to fine particle exposure in the ambient air, PM 2.5, as well as NOx exposure are related with higher risk of insulin resistance and glucose intolerance. And these findings were further validated in a lot of other cohorts, including adolescents cohorts. So that brought us to be more curious how does this air pollution exposure could affect people's metabolic health and whether there's a causal impact, a causal role for the air pollution exposure in terms of these metabolic diseases. And in this field, we have done a lot of other work in other labs using animal models or human studies all suggest that air pollution exposure has a causal impact on the cardiovascular disease development as well. So in total, that we know that air pollution exposure is one of the leading risk factors for all-cause mortality and particularly cardiovascular disease morbidity and mortality as well. After this observational research, air pollution in relationship with the cardiometabolic diseases, I recently have a great opportunity to collaborate with a great research team at Duke University, led by Dr. Jim Zhang, who has a much research experience in the shorter-term HEPA air purifier intervention trials in other countries like China, where they find that 1 to 3 days intervention using the high-performance air purifier indoor could help to lower down the blood pressure and help to improve the inflammation status in their participants. However, there's no published study yet to look for whether these HEPA air purifier use can have a sustained long-term benefits for human health. Therefore, there's a critical need for more research and larger trial studies to investigate this area. So by collaborating with Dr. Jim Zhang, we start to have 2 new HEPA trial studies in Los Angeles. One is supported by the Underwrite Laboratory Company, and the other one is supported by the National Institute of Environmental Health. In both 2 studies, we use the low-cost indoor air purifier to put in our participants' house and look for whether the use of this indoor air purifier for 6 months to 9 months could help to reduce the indoor fine particle exposure. For one study, that we're going to focus on the health benefits potentially brought by these HEPA air purifiers for the diabetes-related outcomes. So we will measure participants' glucose levels and the lipid levels. And for the other study, we are more focused on the cardiovascular outcomes, where we will measure participants' vascular function, blood pressure, and their glucose levels as well. One thing that put these studies most important is that we are not only going to use these devices in our participants' house, but we also going to leveraging the patient resource that coming at the CTSI at CACMAC School of the Electronic Health Records at USC, where we're going to recruit participants 65 years older and who are at higher risk to develop diabetes and cardiovascular disease in the future, so that these people may have a specifically better benefits from the HEPA interventions. And also, good thing about these studies is that we're going to implement a lot of advanced technology to continuously and remotely monitor the indoor and outdoor air pollution exposure level, including the fine particle exposures and some of the gaseous pollutants like nitrogen dioxide and ozone exposure. And also, we're going to use a lot of health devices to collect a lot of health outcomes, like a continuous glucose monitoring, which is a small patch that we're going to attach to our participants' arm. And these small patch are FDA approved, and they can continuously monitor the hourly level of glucose in the participant's peripheral blood. And these data can be stored in the patch, and we can retrieve those 2-week accumulated data at the end of the intervention. And also, we're going to use continuous monitor for the blood pressure monitor, and the participants can measure their blood pressure daily, and those data can be uploaded through Wi-Fi and to our data server. And also, we're going to use a oral ring called, it's like just a ring type of things put on the finger. And by wearing these rings, participants' physical activity level and their sleep quality and body temperature can be remotely monitored as well. One thing I want to mention that because we have all these advanced technology to continuously monitor the exposure and health outcomes, we are able to capture more detailed dynamic measurements for the health perspective and exposure perspective. And this gives us the opportunity to address several key questions related with the dynamic change in extreme climate accidents, such as wildfire. We know that it has a more and more concerns in the global and especially in California as well. We have experienced large wildfire in California in the past 10 years, and this frequency just getting more and more predicted in the future years. So we want to understand how these wildfire can in general impact the human health on those events, but also in the long run. There has been so many studies showing that these HEPA air purifiers can efficiently reduce indoor PM 2.5 exposure, especially when the wildfire is happening. So my personal experience, like 3 years before, when there's a big wildfire in San Gabriel Valley, I live in Arcadia, very close to the mountain. The fire was burned for 2 or 3 weeks, and the indoor fine particle PM 2.5 exposure hit 200 and higher. These indoor PM 2.5 should be below 5, and even just 1 or 2 single digits on normal days without wildfire. But during those days, because of very high exposure of the PM 2.5, we can smell the burning indoor. And also my kids have wheezing problem, so they feel hard to breathe. So I have to run all the air purifiers that I feel very lucky that days, like I already have 3 air purifiers in my house. I get them all operated, and they can get down the PM 2.5 exposures within an hour for like a get down to 50 and below. That really helps. And so in our 2 HEPA studies, we're going to follow our participants in the next 1 to 2 years for any wildfire happening surrounding their residential house. And once there's an wildfire event, we're going to call our participants, and we're gonna do some urgent home visits to collect some of the key health questionnaire data, but also some of the valuable biosamples to measure whether those wildfire can influence their health, but also whether the HEPA air purifier can help reduce some of the hazard that brought by the wildfire exposure. All these studies require a lot of collaborations and contributions from our participants and from our community. We target to enroll a total of 150 participants in the large Los Angeles area, and we're gonna include all ethnicity groups, both Hispanic and non-Hispanic, and both males and females. We want to see whether this HEPA air purifier will have a general benefits for the large population. And I really appreciated our current participants and our future participants' contribution to these studies. Without their support, we won't be able to better understand whether there could be feasible tools for each individual person to help us reduce the air pollution exposure and help to improve our health outcomes. So I want to take this chance to say thank you to our participants. And so far, we already recruit more than 30 participants. I was so excited today that we just get another new participant join our study. So in appreciation to all our participants, we're going to host a professional piano concert for participants at the Pasadena Conservatory of Music, and hopefully we can put on our YouTube channel as well. Not just this event, we are building up an online platform so that we can reach out a larger audience to understand better about these get more knowledge about the air pollution and what health impacts they can bring on our human. And we are building up this website called hepahealth.usc.edu, where we're gonna keep updating our research findings, our study progress, and also more resources that we're gonna put on to hopefully educate more of our general population about air pollution exposure. And also we're gonna have an HEPA Health YouTube channel that we will put our videos like these concerts, or we're gonna host some workshops in the future by collaborating with our Southern California Environmental Health Center here at USC, hopefully to educate more people about how to maybe assemble some low-cost air purifier that are easily to be implemented for each household, and at least put some effects on reducing our air pollution exposure, and we can do it. Thank you so much.